Good evening, Bills Mafia. What's going on tonight, guys? Good Monday. Good Monday evening. We are literally less than a week away from the start of training camp. Welcome to Buffalo Late Night. I am your host, Thomas DeLoss. As you can see, we got two fine gentlemen joining us tonight. First, we have Adam Zientek from Built by Buffalo. Excuse me, I'm a little discombobulated. And Justin Radford from Buffalo fan base. Obviously, you've seen Justin before. He was part of our show a couple weeks ago when we did the all-time Buffalo Bills draft. Guys, good evening. How are we doing tonight?
Justice?
Go ahead, Adam. What? He introduced you first. Go ahead.
I'm doing great, man. Ready for some Bills football. This is the part of the off season where I get a little nervous and twitchy. It feels like we're so far away, but yet so close. I think it's like 59 days until the opener or something like that. But I'm beyond excited to talk some Bills football. I'm so excited that the rookies are reporting to camp. And I'm just excited to see how this team kind of plays out over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm great, man. I am, like Adam said, I'm excited that football is coming back. I'm excited that training camp is here and we can actually get some news and some stuff to actually talk about. So thank goodness for that. I'm glad to be back on the show. Thank you for asking me to join again. The first time was really, really fun. I took some jokes at the expense of my guy Joe Miller, but it's all good. No, but all love. Yeah, man. Thank you for having me back. I'm looking forward to a great show.
Absolutely, guys. I'm definitely glad to have you. And here at Buffalo Late Night, we are proud to be sponsored by both a dentist for kids and Travis Matthew. And you'll hear more about that and more about from our sponsors throughout the show. Also, if you guys are watching on YouTube or Twitch, make sure to hit that subscribe button, as well as the like and share. We'd love for you to comment on tonight's show and join the conversation. And feel free, if you are on Twitter, you can jump to the YouTube page, and that's where you're going to be able to actually join the conversation. Also, for anybody watching, we are going to be giving away the training camp tickets tonight. It'll be a little bit later on in the show, but feel free, if you are watching, you can still get a chance to win those tickets. All you got to do is go to the BFLO Late Night Twitter page, and you'll see the pinned tweet. I'll give you all the directions right there. Now, Justus and Adam, let's get into tonight's conversation. First things first, this week the Buffalo Bills ran into a bit of a snafu as they released training camp tickets online through Ticketmaster. There was quite a bit of backlash from it. So were either of you two able to get any of the tickets? And what were your thoughts on how it was handled?
All right. I actually I'm always late to the party. I have no idea why, but I never know when things are going to start or when events are happening. I'll just see a bunch of Bills Mafia people taking a picture at the route for some reason, and I have no idea why it's happening. Even though I live in Buffalo, so I could theoretically go to all these events, but it is what it is. So I wasn't privy to that the tickets were going on sale. But come on, it's the Bills now. They're projected to win the Super Bowl, and that guy behind the center is projected to be the best player in the world this year. Exactly, my man Adam with the jersey. And I remember last year, my man Dom, he took me to a not a preseason game. It was one of the practices that they have at the stadium. And I was thinking Joe Fina was going to be there. Daryl Talley was going to be there. I was like, yo, man, I'm going to go get some autographs. It's going to be a great time. Eat some hot dogs, watching football. It was so packed at the stadium that you legit would have had to wait a good 90 minutes before you could meet anybody. And, that's kind of the gift and the curse of having a good team. When the Bills are crappy during the 17 years, you could probably do whatever you wanted fairly quickly. But now, it's going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, if you want to see those guys. So it's worth the sacrifice, in my opinion.
I completely agree. And for me, I live in Phoenix, Arizona, where it was 108 today. Just want to shout that out so you can all feel terrible for me. So no, I didn't get any training camp tickets. I just love how diehard Bills Mafia is that within hours, not even a preseason game, training camp tickets to watch the team practice in Rochester too, which is kind of a drive from Buffalo to Rochester, sold out. Like, I think that we wound up trending on Twitter because people were complaining about Ticketmaster and selling out. Like Justus said right now, Super Bowl aspirations, Super Bowl favorites with a franchise quarterback. I've waited my whole life to say that we have a franchise quarterback. So franchise quarterback, MVP leading from the Las Vegas odds, quarterback at center. And so the Bills Mafia broke Twitter, broke Ticketmaster, and is selling out training camp. Man, I would love to be a fly at the wall there, but then I feel like I would get there and be like, they're just practicing. Like, am I supposed to scream for a uncontested first down catch from James Cook? Like, what am I supposed to be doing here? What's the right protocol? But yeah, I'm amped.
Right. Yeah. It's, for the longest time, it was like, will people show up to camp? It was like, oh, we'll watch Kevin Cobb slip on a rubber mat. Or, you get tweets from Sal Capaccio about, Sammy Watkins one-handed catches. Now you're showing up because you got Josh Allen, because people want to get their first glimpse of Von Miller in a Bills jersey at training camp. Like, there's so much anticipation for this. I know people are mad because they didn't get tickets, but like anything, if it's worth the wait, people are going to want to see it, and people are going to want to get tickets. So okay, it'll work out, and everybody will get to see them, and everything will be happy. But the one thing I want to know is, the Bills rookies did report today to St. John Fisher University. What are your thoughts on training camp in Rochester? And do you guys anticipate it staying there moving forward, or what do you think is going to happen in the near future?
I'm not necessarily privy to all that information about where it is or where it's going to be or anything like that. Mm-hmm. For me personally, I would love it if it was in Buffalo or somewhere closer instead of a hour drive out to Rochester. But then again, it's training camp. You want to put them in a different environment, and I get it. I understand it. Baseball just does it. It seems to be a trend in sports, so I'm not mad at it. And I'll take the drive to go see the Bills. I literally talk about the Bills all day, all the time. An hour of my life to talk about the Bills while I'm riding to go see them. It'd be worth it. But again, this is a team that makes it worth it. People go out to the airport at 3 a.m. When those guys come back from a loss. It's like
after a loss.
Yeah,
after
right.
a loss.
So it's just what comes with the territory of being in Bills Mafia. And I, ever since I started working with Bills Mafia, Buffalo fan base, the original Bills Mafia, you see just how diehard these people are, and you can see it just in general, but man, how deep it goes is absolutely nuts. So I think if they have it in West Bumble, whatever, it's people are gonna go, and there are Bills fans all around the world, so somebody's going to be seeing them no matter where they are.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that from my understanding, because I've never been to a training camp before, but from what I read on Twitter and see and all the responses, people really love the fact that it's in Rochester. People really love making the drive out there. The garbage plates are a big selling point, I heard. Thomas, you're probably going to have to fill us in a little more on that. Unfortunately, I don't see it staying in Rochester. And the big point that I don't think it's going to stay in Rochester is, I don't know if you guys heard, but there's a really new shiny $1.4 billion stadium that's going to be built in Buffalo. So I'm sure that they're going to want as much bang for their buck as they can get. I think it'll stay in Rochester for the next few years, but I think once that brand new shiny stadium's built, they're going to want to get as many people in there as possible whenever they can. So I could see it moving there. It'll also be interesting to see, maybe it's not at that stadium, but maybe they have a facility where the current stadium is. But I definitely don't see it always being in Rochester. I'm a youngin', right? I'm 28. I wasn't really around for the Kelly year, so I'm not too sure of the history of where training camp was at. It's super hot in Rochester now. It'll be there for the next couple of years, but after that, I think it's going to work its way more towards Buffalo, especially because everyone's going to want to see the Super Bowl banner that's hanging in the rafters in the next couple of years at the new stadium. So they're going to want it to keep close to Buffalo.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I could absolutely see it go either way. I know It's gone back and forth. I know Brandon Bean said he's going to take it year by year. I also have heard, Sean McDermott loves the idea of getting these guys away from their families. It kind of, like if you're going to summer camp as a kid, kind of getting them all together, and that's it. It's just them. It's football. It's looking at the playbook. It's really kind of building that camaraderie. And the one thing that I think that has translated incredibly well in this organization is the culture. And I know it's a bit of a kind of a laughing talking point, but it's true, and it's very, very real. It's one thing that when you look at the Bills organization, they might do better than anybody else, is have this intrinsic, very, very important feeling amongst them. And that's why you get people to stay. In years past, Jordan Poyer would have said, "Get me the hell out of Dodge. I want out. I don't care. Give me all the money. I don't care." But this is different. He wants to stay because, one, obviously they're close to a championship, but two, these guys are brothers. These guys are guys that he's been with for the last 4 or 5 years. He doesn't want to just go and play on some podunk team. He doesn't want to go play for the Jets or the Jaguars or the Lions. He wants to play with a good team with a bunch of his brothers that he's worked with and he's sweat and bled side by side with for the last couple of years. So I think that it's something incredibly important when you're looking at if they're going to do it. They might take all these guys and send them off like they're doing. But I will say, Adam, I don't think it's crazy or far-fetched that they could do training camp at the new stadium. I think we're going to find out a lot more. Like I said, in September, we're going to find out and get a rendering for the stadium. So it wouldn't surprise me that if we find out to see how everything's going to be laid out, and maybe we can look and say, maybe training camp could potentially be there just because it makes a lot of sense. So it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm really excited. I live right down the road and have lived right down the road from training camp. I'm blessed. So it is exciting and I hope it stays, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes the alternative. So
do you think your take on that is a little what do they call it?
Biased?
Cautious pessimism. That because you live in Rochester, you think they're gonna take it away from me for sure. I don't know. I think it might stay.
I don't know. I've seen it both ways. I've heard it. I mean, maybe it is like in my heart of hearts. I'm like, yeah, you're right. They're probably gonna take it, but I don't know. I could see it going either way. Personally, I think it's great that they're here. I think it's getting away from your spouse sometimes. And I'm married. I don't know about you two, but I love my wife, but we've said it to each other. Having our alone time is great. And, when you're, that band of brothers mentality, when you're bonding with them side by side, especially in a sport like football, I mean, they go to war, they literally put their bodies on the line every single week. There's something to be said for knowing that you can look over your shoulder and you got a dude right behind you. Like there's something to be said for Josh Allen that, like, if he has a defender take him down in a way that isn't the best, it's a cheap tackle, that you're going to have 5 big motherfuckers coming up right behind you to take him to the ground. So I think, at the end of the day, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest bit if they keep it in Rochester. But like Adam said, I could see it the alternative where they, blissfully want to keep it right with their brand new $1.4 billion stadium. So they've got everything right there, and who knows, maybe they make it so it's a super fan experience. Cause that's the one thing to keep in mind with Rochester is, and if you talk to, whether it's Ian Rappaport, other general managers, I mean, there's plenty. They have said time and time again, St. John Fisher University, which apparently it's St. John Fisher University now, not college. I was tripping up on that. Is one of the best. It's one of not only the best environments or experiences, but it's the best for the actual players. They really do a hell of a job there. So it'd be exciting to see what they do, but I think it can go either way. I don't know if it's cautious pessimism, but we'll see.
I think too that it's not just like you said, everyone kind of talks about how great St. John Fisher's is, like how great the facilities are, how great everything is. That's not the only part of like the Bills development that everyone gushes over. Like their strength and conditioning coaches too always get a ton of love for the work they do, which is kind of also a byproduct of the culture and kind of what McDermott and Bean have built there. I think another factor that might go into it that we don't really know a ton about is Sean McDermott a creature of habit? If he sees something that works, how are his practices laid out? What does his day-to-day look like? He might be in a situation where he's like, we're going to go to St. John Fisher every year because I know it works, because look at how the culture's built. I'm not going to go off on a tangent, but you said one thing that really made me think, and I was having the conversation the other day of the culture of Buffalo. So Sean McDermott and Brandon Bean built this culture of Buffalo to the point where in free agency, you can see a guy like Von Miller, like Tavon Austin, like Tim Settle, like Daquan Jones, that look like a Buffalo culture guy, right? You see a free agent, you look at him and you go, that's a Buffalo guy. Now, I remember for 20 years, it was always the Patriot way. That guy looks like a New England Patriot. And there weren't a lot of teams that had specific looks to players. It's just amazing what McDermott and Bean have been able to build, where you can look at a caliber of player on and off the field and say, that's a Buffalo Bill. The Von Miller signing was a huge one. Hardworking, hard-nosed, just blue-collar dude. You're like, that's a Buffalo Bill. And the culture and Josh Allen brought him to Buffalo.
Right. Yeah, it's incredible. And, I talked about this last week with my brother, which if you want to watch it, go back on Spotify. You can listen to it. Cheap plug. I'll tell you, it's incredible the transition over really 5 years from where, we've started to where we've gotten to. It's Buffalo's a destination. It's not a laughing stock. It's not Siberia. It is absolutely a culture-driven environment and a culture-driven organization. And you're right. You can literally look at guys now and say, yep, they would fit right in here. And it all starts with Josh. It all starts with Brandon Bean, and it all starts with Sean McDermott. They're the ones driving the ship. And quite frankly, you want to be part of it? Yeah, cool. Jump on. No? Okay, get out of our way. And that's how they've done it. They've gotten guys that want to be here. And if you don't, that's fine. Go find greener pastures. But I guarantee you, like Shaq Lawson, like Jordan Phillips, you're going to come crawling back because you're going to realize that the money's not worth it. That you're going to find really that you're going to become a better version of yourself in Buffalo. And that's truly, like you said, Adam, is been the mantra truly in Buffalo, that you become the best possible version of who you are. And I think it does drive the culture narrative. And I know, for a long time, I would always drive back from the stadium and you listen to Show Up in the Bulldog, and I love Show Up in the Bulldog. I think they're great. They can get a little spicy sometimes, but one thing that they used to talk about that they kind of beat the shit out of it was that they didn't think culture mattered. And then they realized culture absolutely matters when you have the right people in charge. When you got Rex Ryan in charge, culture don't mean shit. At the end of the day, culture is just a word. But when you got Sean McDermott, who is a family-driven, God-fearing man, that's a different story. And you got players that want to fall in line with that. So
I feel like culture is a contributing factor behind any successful organization.
Absolutely.
Yes. Not tandem bicycles.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's funny. We actually, a few weeks back, I had Sal Mariana on, and Tim Graham, was it Tim Graham? Maybe it was me. One of us asked him about Rex Ryan. He's like, he was great for a quote, but the guy was a dipshit. No, it was 100% factual. So
that's
savage.
Crazy.
Savage.
I believe it, but damn.
Right. I'm going to do a quick read real quick. A Dentist for Kids offers individual dental treatment for kids of all ages. By providing a relaxed, fun, and encouraging environment, Dr. Zach's goal is to help your child build confidence in their smile and with their overall dental health. A Dentist for Kids is currently accepting new patients, and they participate with most major insurances. If you visit Dr. Zach, mention Buffalo Late Night for $25 off your choice of a custom whitening kit or electric toothbrush. Call today to set up an appointment with Dr. Zach and his team, 585-538-1111. 7230. I said this last week. Dr. Zach's the best. If you have kids, 100% go see him. He's one of those guys that you feel comfortable sending your kids to, and they just do a wonderful job there. So absolutely go and see them. And like I said, mention Buffalo Late Night. So one more little topic before we kind of get into the meat and potatoes of tonight. Deshaun Watson has stated that he and the NFLPA will take to the federal courts to sue the NFL if the arbitrators and NFL, in fact, suspend him for a year. What are your thoughts on the whole situation?
I think that Calvin Ridley getting a 12-game suspension for betting on games that his own team was supposed to win when he's not a part of it, and Deshaun Watson might not get suspended at all, but rather take legal action against the NFL is the biggest slap in the face after the NFL has a track record of notoriously bad judgments on people who abuse women. It's disgusting, and I don't like it.
Yeah. Adam's point, and I mean, it's like a full season at minimum. At minimum, it's a full season. We don't know the length of the suspension yet. We just know at minimum it's a full season. So that's absolutely bonkers. And to bet on your own team, no less. Like if you bet
on his own team without him.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you was out there betting on every team against your team, all right, I got you. But like betting on your own team, but anyway, look, man, I'm somebody who I don't pass judgment because I'm not there for anything. And unless I see it with my own two eyes, I don't know what to think about anything because men lie, women lie, but whatever, right? So my thing on Deshaun Watson is a lot of people say he's being framed. A lot of people say that he's guilty 100%. And it's not really for me to judge either way, but I will say that the way he's carried himself in this situation has not been favorable. It's not been favorable at all. He has looked extremely guilty, and I don't blame people for saying that he's guilty because he looks guilty. It seems very guilty-ish, you know what I'm saying? So, at the least, I just feel like people should take their punishment. You know what I mean? If you get the opportunity to play football again in your life, you better be grateful because you probably shouldn't. If we're being realistic about it, right? You should probably be in jail somewhere, right? But you still get the opportunity to make millions of dollars, and you get a 1-year suspension, whatever the case may be, bro. Like that is like the least of your concerns at this point. Like you got issues you need to figure out personally in your own life outside of football, like because that comes first. Who you are as a person and the life you live. And if this is what you're being accused of by like 25 plus individuals, women are saying these things about you, you need to do some self-reflection. The punishment you're getting, the duration of it isn't something that, in my opinion, isn't something that you should, invest your time and energy into, especially to use up resources like the court system to you know what I mean, to kind of, try to absolve yourself of this situation that you put yourself into. Right. So I'm against that. This is my first time hearing of it, but look, man, I feel like Ray Rice, got the 4-game suspension, right? Yep. And then when they saw the video, they were like, "Oh, we knew he hit the woman, but we didn't know he hit her that hard, and we're going to suspend him indefinitely." Like, you didn't know he hit him that hard. He hit him, period. Like that should be an issue to you, right? So the NFL is just absolutely terrible with these judgment calls, like bad. I'm sorry. The contrast between a 17-game suspension versus a potential 6-game suspension for this man.
Potential 4-game suspension.
Yo, I don't know, man. That's just wild to me. I really like I said, in my opinion, I really don't think he should be playing football ever again. So
yeah, it's every single week I've brought this up because there's been different levels, and different layers to all this, and everybody's responses were different. Like Joe Miller stated, he said, when you get 66 massages from 66 different women, You're either a serial sexual offender or you don't realize you don't like massages. And it's true, and at the end of the day, it's one of those situations where I I get in certain instances where they have to go through the process and they have to look at all the facts and really kind of uh, deep dive into everything because they need to know what's going on. They need to, hi, Betsy. Uh, they need to know what exactly is the true facts of the situation. There's no reason to do that. When you're going to see 66 different massage therapists, you're the problem, not the other way around.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fact that throughout this entire process, he hasn't even come out and the biggest concern is, one, when you pay women off, you're guilty, and two, when you're not apologetic and you're smug and arrogant and very just brash, you're guilty. At the end of the day, that's the fact. Hey, Bets. It's one of those things that you need. You don't waver in the middle. If you're innocent, you come out and you are 100% apologetic to these women. You feel terrible about the situation. He's never said anything except for the fact that he feels like everyone's coming after him. So realistically, that's what needs to happen. And the fact that he's even trying to sue the NFL, which he can't with the NFLPA. He can't band together with the NFLPA because they signed a contract that the mediation has to go a certain way. The mediation has to actually follow, and there's an arbitrator for that reason. So he can't sue with the NFLPA because it's part of the CBA. All that said and done, it's a sad day in the NFL, really, because one, NFL or female NFL fans are being put on an island.
100%.
You have Browns fans that have been fans since the franchise began, and they're kind of in a really weird spot. One of my cousin and her husband and their kids, they're Browns fans, and he literally has said he almost wants to detest the team because of the situation. I mean, I can't even fathom. And I love Deshaun Watson. I even at one point before we knew Josh Allen was going to be good, I was like, man, but I love to have Deshaun Watson on this team. And then all the stuff came out and I was like, hell to the nah. I want nothing to do with this dude. But it's sad. It's really sad that this is what we have to be talking about when, there's so many other important issues, but this has become such an issue.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You took the words right out of my mouth. They alienated the Browns specifically, alienated more than half their fan base with this trade.
Yep.
And now they're about to face the ultimate consequence because if this man never plays it down in football again, you just gave up all those picks for absolutely no reason, right? And I will say that because Houston was complicit in all of this disgustingness, I feel like they should lose every pick that the Browns gave to them. I feel like those picks should just go. I don't think the Browns should have them. Damn sure don't think they should have them. If they knew about the cases and still decided to trade for them, you lose all that. That's just what you get, right? And I don't think the Houston Texans should have them either because I don't think that they deserve them. If you were complicit and you let this go on just because he's your franchise quarterback, that's disgusting. And you're just as guilty as he is. So I think those picks should be null and void, and we should just have, 31 picks in the next couple of years of the first round.
Right. Yeah. I've said this before. I think that they should still have to pay out, not to him, but to a charity that deals with sexual assault.
Yep.
That's where that money should go, and that money should still be hit on their cap. They should still have to have whatever the per year cap hit that Deshaun Watson would have carried. They should still have to deal with that every single year on their cap, regardless if he's on the team or not. You're right. Any of the draft picks, everything, they should have to suffer. Jimmy Haslam, the front office, everybody should have to suffer through this. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the reality of the situation, because if you don't do that, you're saying it's okay to hire a sexual offender. And what kind of precedent does that send? Because realistically, there's already enough issues CTE is rearing its head right now with a lot of players passing away at really young ages and a lot of autopsies coming back. I think there's just too many black eyes that are really sticking out right now for the NFL, that this can't be another one. They have to put their foot down realistically.
Yeah.
Like Matt said, hey, great takes on the Watson guy. Love the charity idea with the Browns still eating it. They looked into it. They should have to eat it.
They should, especially when you consider. Go ahead, Adam.
Sorry, I was just going to add too. Like, I feel bad for the Browns fans too. Like, that's an organization that has suffered just as much as we have for many years, and it puts these diehard fans who went through 0-16, who went through the Manziel era, who went through Brady Quinn and all the terrible quarterbacks. Like, Deshaun Watson on the football field is a great football player, just like O.J. Simpson on the football field was a great football player. But unfortunately, there's a human aspect to them as well that isn't great at all. And it stinks for the women who are Browns fans, for the people who are Browns fans, who ultimately have to choose, okay, am I going to still support this team in a multi-billion-dollar industry that, if you look at the past 10 most watched shows of last year, 8 of which are football, it really stinks for Browns fans. And I'm not diminishing how terrible of an act it is, just at like the bottom, very minuscule level. I feel bad for Browns fans.
Right. I feel bad for Browns fans as well. For the Browns front office, I have no sympathy at all. You tried to get this man $1 million his first year because you anticipated the suspension. That's just as disgusting as anything else that's happened so far. Like, you basically told him, and you said you did your due diligence, and then 3 more cases came out. Like, y'all playing in everybody's faces right now. So I think all 3 of the entities, Deshaun Watson, Houston Texans, and Cleveland Browns, all should be punished.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So, gentlemen, let's we're going to get right into tonight's topic, which kind of is just a little overview as for training camp. I'm going to do a quick of the second reads tonight. Travis Matthews, innovative fabrics keep you looking and feeling your best. Whether you're on the golf course or strolling through town, offering supreme comfort for every aspect of your life. With clothing that's quick drying, wrinkle resistant, and super soft, you can move seamlessly from work to play. Get 20% off your first order at travismatthew.com. You'll find that link right on Buffalo Late Night social media pages. So, gentlemen, a couple quick questions for you in terms of training camp. First thing, who are you most interested in keeping an eye on in training camp? Who's the guy that you want to see, you want to see all the reviews on? Who do you want to really see shine in training camp?
For me, it's kind of a baloney answer, but for me, it's Kaiir Elam.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main reason is because this roster is so Super Bowl ready. But unfortunately, a lot of the weight will ride on Kaiir Elam and his ability to execute on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, or Saturdays, whatever the case may be. Losing Levi Wallace hurt, so they took a flyer out. Not a flyer. They drafted Kaiir Elam as a first-round prospect to be matched up opposite Trey White when the season starts. Like I said, this roster is Super Bowl ready. This is a Super Bowl caliber roster. However, if Kaiir Elam winds up being a bust, which I don't think he will be, that's going to be a huge problem, even with Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde being back there, even when Trey White gets healthy again. If Kaiir Elam isn't the guy, that's going to really, really hurt, not just for this year, but for the next few years. Right. I think for Kaiir Elam, he played 37 games during his 3 years at Florida. With a chance to burst onto the scene and compete for a starting job at the outset of his pro career. Right from the gate, there's going to be a lot of expectations riding on Kaiir Elam's shoulders from Bills Mafia, from the Bills coaching staff. Look, when games start and games are going to matter immediately off the rip with a team with Super Bowl aspirations, you better believe that all their offensive coordinators are going to be gunning for those 2 CBs with Trey White out. So what I'm excited to hear from camp is I hope he is torching it at the rookie camp. And I hope when the veterans come in, he really raises some eyebrows, because if he starts to struggle at the rookie camp, he'll still have time to get there. I'll be a little concerned about the CB2 battle going on in Buffalo. No disrespect to Dane Jackson. I'm just a little concerned.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not mad at the Kyer Elam answer because if he doesn't pan out, it's going to be as bad for that unit as AJ Epinesa not panning out was for the defensive line. And you see what we have to do there. We have to go to next year and draft 2 completely new defensive linemen. Then the next year, go get Von Miller. So, like, clearly the AJ Epinesa thing, we thought it was going to work out last preseason because he was balling. And then I don't know what happened. But I am going to say a little bit of a dark horse, right? I'm really looking forward to Christian Benford. All right. This is what, 6th round pick, 5th round pick, something like that. 6th round pick. This man is a beast. Okay. All right. He didn't go to a big school, so he didn't get the recognition and all that good stuff, but he's a beast, guys. All right. You heard it here first. He's about to be a starter in the next year. Like, not in 2022, but in 2020, he'll be a starter. He'll be one of the best players on our defense by 2024. Like, I'm telling y'all, he is going to be a problem. I am excited to see what he does in training camp, only because I don't think he has a true position, right? I don't think he could, he could theoretically play corner, safety, and linebacker, right? So he's got the speed, he's got the strength. That boy hits. He is so physical. He's all over the place. He's a ball hawk. Like, I think that he might be able to work really well with this defense because, there's so much talent all over the place, right? You have the best safety net in the league in the safeties, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, right? You got an all-pro cornerback in Tre'Davious White. You got a first-round pick who's actually picked higher than Tre'Davious White, so theoretically should be better, but we'll see. And Kyer Elam. Then Dane Jackson, who, I mean, he's the second cornerback as of right now, first-string cornerback as of right now, on a championship caliber defense. The number 1 defense in the NFL, actually. Like, right? So, obviously your linebacking core, people can say what they want. That's a good linebacking core, all right? And then, you introduce Terrell Bernard as well. He's just going to do good things. And then the defensive line, of course, has been short off, and it's going to be hopefully a lot more productive this year. I say all that to say that Christian Benford is going to essentially be able to roam a little free, kind of like a Jamal Adams type of deal. I do think he's better in coverage than Jamal Adams, because Jamal Adams,
because everyone is every human being is better in coverage than Jamal Adams.
Exactly. He's got like 3 career interceptions or something stupid, like this absolutely disgusting numbers. But Christian Benford is a ball hawk, like I said. So I think he's going to be a turnover machine. Michael Parsons was a first-round pick, but I could see him being like our Michael Parsons, that young guy that's just all over the place and making plays everywhere. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Christian Benford is going to do.
Do you think Benford is going to have a similar kind of so he reminds me a little of Taron Johnson, kind of a under the radar type player who wound up starting on the team and having one of, if not the most impactful postseason plays in the history of the NFL after getting hit in the head during the draft combine. Do you see Benford with the question marks surrounding Jordan Poyer maybe trying to slide into that safety position? Or do you think with his versatility and the way that McDermott likes to run things, it's going to be like, Hyde's down for a few plays, Benford going, White's down for a few plays, Benford going, Taron Johnson needs a break, we're going to run him in the slot nickel. Like, what kind of versatility do you think will be going on with Benford?
See, if you were banking on Christian Benford to be your starting safety, then I would like to see Poyer extended, right? I don't think that Benford is going to be ready to take over that particular position and like everything that comes with fitting in those shoes. I don't think he'll be ready for that. And
it's also going to jump to Mar Hamlin too, and Josh Johnson.
Yeah, I could see him jumping both of them. Yeah. I do, but I would like to see a more sure-handed safety if Jordan Poyer were to exit, right? But if not, I would like to see him extended so that they can coach up a guy like Christian Benford to take that spot. But I do think he'll be like a Taron Johnson in the sense where he was a late round draft pick. Again, the combine, people's making fun of him and everything. And then he is one of, if not the best player in the NFL at his position, which is a slot corner for Taron Johnson specifically. I believe, Christian Benford could one day be one of the better, players in the league at what he does. Now, I don't know exactly what his position is going to be, but I do think he's going to play defensive football at a really high level.
And the nice thing is with Benford, he doesn't have to have a position. You know,
Exactly.
the one thing the NFL is moving towards is positionless football. If you can play all over the field and you can provide benefit, that's huge. And the number one thing is, and Sean McDermott has said this, availability is the best quality. You know, if he can stay on the field, he can stay healthy and he can play. Doesn't matter. He'll find a place. If he provides something to the defense, trust me, Sean McDermott will get him on the field one way or the other.
Yep.
For me, my guy is James Cook. I know it's low hanging fruit, but you know, the last 6 games, Devin Singletary really stepped it up. He was a monster, you know, and you saw him in the playoffs. He was really, really good, you know, and I don't think that's coincidental with the fact that the offensive line play got much, much better, because you saw Josh Allen continually get better every single game. My reason behind James Cook is, you know, we went out of our way to go and sign J.D. McKissic before he went back to the Commanders. What James Cook can do is the same, if not better, than what J.D. McKissic can do. He's faster, he's taller, he's younger, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's hungrier. You know, I mean, there is absolutely a brother battle. You know, he knows Delvin is going to be going out this season and trying to put up monster stats. You know damn well James wants to best his brother. Like, that's for sure. I know I want to do it with my own brothers. Everybody wants to try to excel or succeed their family. So it wouldn't be surprising, because the thing about it is people keep looking at James Cook and they're saying, oh, he's just a pass catching back. You know, he's not a real bell cow. He's only 10 pounds lighter than his brother. He's taller by an inch. He absolutely can put that weight on. And quite frankly, he's got tons of speed. He can run the whole route tree. He provides something that Josh Allen, quite frankly, hasn't really had his entire career here. It really didn't have at Wyoming. I can't speak to high school. I haven't watched a ton of Josh Allen high school tape, but you give him somebody that can sit as a safety valve, somebody that can not only, you know, line up behind him, but then move to the slot, can, you know, do slants, can do digs, can do little out routes. You're talking about Josh Allen is going to have a faster tight end. And when I say that, a tight end's the, you know, a quarterback's best friend. It's the guy that he can look to when all else fails. Well, now you have a running back who can literally be your saving grace. He's going to be your Cole Beasley, but faster. So it's exciting to see what he can actually do. I think, you know, I don't know if he can necessarily take over that RB1 position right out of the gate. You never know. Crazier things have happened, you know, and at the end of the day, if Josh Allen likes you, that's where the rubber meets the road. Josh Allen has proven that he can absolutely make all the decisions for this franchise. So it'll be exciting to see what he does. And I think I have said this emphatically. I have monster expectations for James Cook this year. I think he is going to be like, I don't know. I am extremely excited. There's been a lot of talk about him so far. So I wouldn't be surprised if he blows up. And that's my guy. I don't know if you guys have any take on that.
Yeah, I actually do. Oh, no, you go, Justus. No. You go. Nope.
I'm glad J.D. McKissic went back to Washington. All right,
get out of here, J.D. We don't need you.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say, Adam. In the moment, I was a little ticked, right? But to be honest, look, James Cook is younger. I feel like he's better, right? And the fact that J.D. McKissic was comfortable going back to Washington tells me that he's not a winner,
right?
So, you know, a guy who went to Georgia, has championship pedigree, right? He watched his brother be one of the best, if not the best running back in the NFL the last half decade. So, you know, he clearly has greatness in his blood, right? You know, so I would much rather have that guy than J.D. McKissic.
Yep. And I think one of the things that's going to really benefit James Cook this season, so Josh Allen, every postseason, we get a little snippet about the work that he does with Jordan Palmer. The one was just like general placing with his footwork that he wanted to work on. the next year was the long ball, right? And then this past offseason, what he said that he's working on is allowing receivers to have more yards after catch. That's his big thing, is leading the receivers so they can have more yards after catch. You tell me that the MVP leading quarterback wants to work on giving the receivers more time to run the football after the catch, and then you sign a pass-catching, explosive running back out of Georgia. Not only that, but you draft Roger Saffold, you get O.J. Howard to run 2 tight end sets.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's night and day. And Bean and McDermott, since they've kind of taken over, what I've noticed at least is a running back by committee pretty much. Yes, Singletary normally is the one, but they have no problem scratching Moss to put in Breida in there. I don't think that if we didn't draft Cook, they'd have any problem putting Duke Johnson in there. I think James Cook is going to have an immediate impact. It might not be weeks 1 through 5 with him learning the playbook and getting down the pacing with Allen, but I think by the end of the season, we'll be seeing a lot of James Cook, and I think he's going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries of Josh Allen's continued work to keep crafting at his profession, to keep getting better at the little things, which I'm excited to see. Also, potentially, Khalil Shakir benefit from the yards after catch thing that Allen's working on too.
Right.
All right,
There's
last thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't think he'll be the starting back, right? Because I have a ton of faith in Devin Singletary. I think Devin Singletary is a top 10 talent in this league at the running back position. Okay. So I think that with the new offensive line coach, Devin Singletary is going to have a monster year. With that said, I think that Sean McDermott wants a hybrid backfield. Okay. It's clear that is what he does is 2 backs in the backfield, right? They've drafted a running back 3 of the last 4 years. So I don't know if Devin Singletary will necessarily be here next year. I hope he does, but I don't know if he will, right? And I don't think it will ever have to be on James Cook's, like, his body or his responsibility to carry the entire load for a pass-heavy football team anyway, right? So I don't think that that's even a valid concern for, a running back that we take in the second round.
Right. Yeah. It's the first time in a long time we've got a ton of weapons, and Josh Allen can really eat, so it's going to be exciting to see how he utilizes them. Next, gentlemen, whose stock could potentially rise the most from a good training camp?
Justus, you go first.
Whose stock?
You can't go Christian Bedford again.
I know, right? Because that's a good answer. I want to say Gabriel Davis, because if he has a good training camp, his stock is going through the atmosphere. But it's already close to that, so I'm going to give a different answer. I'm
sticking with rookie in my answer. Just letting you know, Justus.
All right, go ahead. Since you already got yours.
Okay. For me, another dark horse, a name that's not really talked about a whole ton, is offensive tackle Luke Tenuta. Sorry if I butchered your name a little bit. So another 6th-round pick, right? As it stands, I'm fairly certain Tommy Doyle is the Buffalo Bills' current backup tackle, but they needed another. So Tenuta was a great value option. Instead of overpaying a veteran to sit on the bench, you got a really hungry young guy coming in. I think the reason he was so available late in the draft is because, again, aside from culture, one of the big things that McDermott and Bean love to draft is raw talent, right? Josh Allen, perfect example. He didn't have everything there ready day one, but they built it and they grew it. Dawson Knox, another example. Didn't really have what they needed day one, but they built it and grew it. I would argue maybe even Teron Johnson, Dane Jackson, Gabe Davis, right? Didn't play for big schools. They built it. They grew it. Spencer Brown came out last season and had a monster offensive line season, but he wasn't a player that I particularly thought was going to start early on in the year. So I think someone who I think's stock could rise is the limited O-line depth, especially at the offensive tackle, and just the talent that Luke Tenuta has. I think that he could be a name like Spencer Brown last year after pouring beer on himself during the Pittsburgh game, I think it was. I think Tenuta could potentially have a skyrocket his potential if he has a really good camp.
Right.
That's a great answer. I'm going to go with linebacker Terrell Bernard.
I knew it. I knew you were going to bring up Bernard. I knew it.
Yeah, man. I feel like, with the departure of AJ Klein, Tyler Matakevich is more special teams. Andre Smith Jr. and Terrell Dodson. Obviously, they're going to be in contention for this position as well, and they are probably very good candidates for this topic as well. Because I feel like if Terrell Dodson has a good mini camp, I feel like that could, push him up there into a lot more playing time. But I'm going to go with Terrell Bernard, just because. And I talked to Joe Marino about this, and he kind of changed my opinion on it a little bit, but I still think it to be true. Everything that Tremaine Edmonds is criticized for, Terrell Bernard does at a high level. All right. So you say Tremaine Edmonds doesn't hit people hard enough, Terrell Bernard is sticking people. All right. You say Tremaine Edmonds doesn't shoot the gap, Terrell Bernard does. You say Tremaine Edmonds doesn't have great ball awareness, Terrell Bernard definitely does. He's another, from the linebacker position, relatively, he's a ball hawk, right? If a couple of interceptions in college, he's always around the ball, picking up fumbles, whatnot, right? He's always somewhere when the play stops and the whistle's blown. If you look at the TV screen, he's always somewhere in the frame, and that's how close he is to the ball all the time. So I would say that, especially considering. Now, I'm not under the impression that the Bills front office feel the same way that the fan base does about Tremaine Edmonds, because I think they probably like him, because what's not to like. But with this being his final year before a potential franchise tag, I feel like this is a big opportunity for Terrell Bernard to step in front of a Terrell Dodson and Andre Smith Jr. to, show that he could play that position next to Tremaine Edmonds, and with Matt Milano, he could be on the field, and so I'm gonna go with him, and I pick him over the other guys because I feel like he probably has a little bit more potential.
I think too, not to disrespect Teron Johnson in any way whatsoever, but I think Teron Johnson's one weakness would probably be how he lines up against bigger tight ends, just the bigger bodies on them. Bernard's a dog, dude. Bernard's a big dude, and I think that's one area that he could really help this team, especially like hypothetically if we were to go up against, say, the Kansas City Chiefs again in the postseason, and Bernard's ready to go, lining him up against Kelsey, that's going to be a dogfight the entire match. Having a Super Bowl caliber team, you need Super Bowl caliber depth, and I'm not saying Bernard is a Super Bowl caliber whatever, he's a rookie, but I think that he could be a key piece to a potential Buffalo Bills Super Bowl win.
Right. And again, same thing with Benford. You got another guy with, complete flexibility, and that's going to be huge. Yeah. Especially, if you're going to be running a lot of nickel defense, if you can get guys that are mass mismatches all the time, that's the one thing that when you've got Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer on the field, they love to confuse offenses. They love to act like they're going to be going on one specific set, and then they'll switch it at the last second. And when you got guys that can play out of position, you keep offenses kind of on their heels, and then they got to waste timeouts, and then they run the wrong routes, and then they don't know who's covering who. It creates so much chaos. And for a defense that's predicated on, playing off ball, and a defense that can run a lot of zone, and a defense that is incredibly ball hawkish, you're going to see some advantageous situations come. That's where you see guys like Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde eat, when Tre'Davious comes back, that he's able to sit there and cause havoc every single game. So it's exciting to see what's going to be coming. And I agree. I think Terrell Bernard, he's been really a quiet spot for this Bills offense, or excuse me, this Bills team so far. Of all the rookies that have been drafted, no one's talking about him. And I love that. Because you know what?
Don't.
Right. He's that guy that you want to stay under the radar. For me, the guy that I think has the chance to have a massive rise in their stock is Zach Moss. The reason I say that is this is Devin Singletary's last year in his contract. Zach Moss still has another year after this on his contract. If Zach Moss looks good, you could see a Zach Moss, James Cook tandem going into next year, and they let Devin Singletary walk. Because the thing about it is, then you got your thunder and lightning. You got, James Cook, who's got the speed and the agility, and you got Zach Moss, who can really lay the lumber. And if he really, truly was not healthy the last couple of years, and now you're getting a healthy Zach Moss, maybe that's the difference. Now, I'm still questioning his vision. That's been something that has definitely been a serious concern, because as a running back, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you can't see where you're supposed to be running, if you can't dictate, what hole you're supposed to hit, you're never going to be good. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how athletically gifted you are. It doesn't matter how big you are. If Jerome Bettis couldn't find the hole, it doesn't matter how big he was. He wasn't going to be good. The bus had to find the tunnel. So that being said, right, terrible. I think that Zach Moss has potential to really take the bull by the horns at this point. It's a huge year for him, and I think he's hungry to do something with it. So hopefully he can take this step and really be the guy going into next year. And I'm hoping, because I don't want to pay Devin Singletary as much as I love Devin Singletary, I ain't going to pay him a running back, because we're not a running based team. James Cook, on the other hand, as a receiving back, that's a different ball game. Now we're talking dollars and cents. But the other side of that coin, guys, who do you think in this training camp could potentially see their stock fall the most? Just from not performing. Who could be just as fast as they're on the roster be off?
I'm going to, well, first of all, I want to say shout out to Zach Moss, the newest member of the Bills Mafia Podcast Network. So shout out to him for that. And on the flip side of this, I'm going to go with Ryan Bates. Okay.
Oh,
because Ryan Bates completely transformed our team last year for whatever reason. He did. And I feel like a lot of us are really banking on him this season. We're kind of counting on him to be good in order for this whole vision to work. I mean, it's not contingent upon him being good, but it would definitely help if he was good, right? So I feel like if he has a miserable camp, then those dreams die and he goes back to the bottom of the roster where he started. Because, I mean, he definitely made the most of his opportunities, and I'm rooting for him. I hope he succeeds. But if he doesn't perform well, then they're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
So,
and you got a guy like Ike Butker coming off the pup. The only reason that Bates got that job is Butker went down. So, yeah, 100%. I think that just as much as Bates got a contract, he could easily lose that one very quickly.
it's his job to lose, though, is the thing.
Yeah,
with his resurgence towards the end of the season, it's definitely his job to lose. And I just hope, and it goes back to the culture, right? I don't think that there's a culture of complacency. When you have an MVP caliber quarterback who's trying to get better every season, when you have Stephon Diggs who's training like an animal every offseason, that whole team kind of is that way. Von Miller hosts camp. Greg Rousseau, Boogie Basham, the entire D-line's there. The O-line's working. You go to any of their Instagram pages all the way down the depth chart, Terrell Dodson, DeMar Hamlin, they're all working. So I just hope that Ryan Bates took the time to do the same. I think he did. I'm just not too in tune with his off-season workout regimen yet. I'm getting him down, but we'll see. For me, I just kind of kept in tune with rookies because I'm so excited for the rookies to report. I'll say the person who I think could take the biggest decline is Khalil Shakir. Only
tell me that, Adam.
I know. I love Khalil. I love Shakir so much. But that wide receiving room, there's no room for error right now. That is such a cramped wide receiving room. We look back at the draft when we got Isaiah Hodgins and Gabe Davis, right? Gabe Davis wound up performing really well. Isaiah Hodgins kind of wound himself down below on the depth chart. It's kind of the same way with what's going on for Shakir, right? You either got it or you don't. And if you don't coming out of camp, you might not see the football field with Jamison Crowder, with Isaiah McKenzie, with Gabe Davis, with Stephon Diggs, with the love for Jake Kumaro. There's a lot of weapons at that wide receiver position that if he doesn't completely ball out, he could get buried somewhere lower on the depth chart. I don't think that's going to happen. I like him as more of a gadget player like Isaiah McKenzie was last year in hopes that McKenzie gets a little more playing time this season. But if he doesn't have a good camp, it's going to be difficult with that competition to stay on the football field.
That's a great answer. And I remember we were so excited about Zay Jones, and he was a bum. So I do not want that for Khalil Shakir.
Wait, the guy who just got like $52 million from Jacksonville is a bum? No.
Jacksonville are bums, and they giving bum money to bums.
Christian Kirk, 82 million, baby, or 72 million. Woo!
Crazy. Real quick, do want to announce the training camp ticket winners. We've got Dornbush Greg, Beefy Magic, or Boofy Magic, my apologies, and Beastie Collector, all very interesting names. I will be reaching out to all of you guys about your training camp tickets. Congratulations. My pick is AJ Epinesa.
Yep.
So year 3, a guy that really, a guy that really had huge expectations, to be able to train off season alongside a future Hall of Famer in Von Miller, to be able to see Greg Rousseau and Boogie Basham make strides. If you can't show any potential in your 3rd season in a stud defense like the Bills, chances are you're not going to get another chance anywhere else. Maybe he'll get a chance in like a CFL or the USFL or one of these,
or Jacksonville
startup, right? Or startup
like 40 mil,
right? I think he has a lot to lose, because at the end of the day, he could easily win the starting, outside defensive end job. Because that's the thing. Outside of Von Miller, it's wide open. I mean, yes, it's technically, you would say, Greg Rousseau's job to lose. Everyone's anticipating he's going to make a monster leap. He's put on a ton of muscle. I mean, I don't know if you've seen him. He looks like a brick shit house. Like, just the guy's just a monster this year.
I will say real quick, Shaq Lawson actually has more sacks than anybody so far in the preseason and in training camp or whatever. So
right. I mean, and Shaq Lawson truly was brought in as one veteran, but an edge defender and like a run stopping sequence, or run stopping scheme. Excuse me. I think Greg Rousseau, if you're going to say who is going to be the opposite, defensive end from Von, I would say it's probably Rousseau, but nothing's set in stone. Just like when it comes to who's going to be starting opposite of Tre'Davious White. If Dane Jackson is not just going to roll over and play dead,
no,
he wants that CB2 job. Same thing, AJ Epinesa, if he wants that that defensive end 2 job, it's his for the taking. And guess what? No one's going to be upset if he does. No one's going to be upset if he comes out and blows the roof off, blows the doors off of the place, and shows that he is every bit as good as where they drafted him. Because realistically, you can never have too many good defensive ends. If they can start rotating in stud defensive ends, and all these guys are fresh all game long, terrorizing quarterbacks, it's going to make for another really good, Bills defense, especially if you get a guy like Khair Elam coming in, and now you got 2 stud corners. You're going to be locking it down from all across the field, which should make Tremaine Edmonds step up and step out and make himself look really good. Don't know if it's true. Who the hell knows? I don't have any faith in Tremaine Edmonds. I'm sorry.
Ooh.
That being said, I think AJ Epinesa, this is his year to really either fall off a cliff or step up big time. I don't know. I'm excited to see what he can do.
That's another position that has an insane amount of depth to it as well. Wide receiver and D-line are so crazy stacked. You got Tim Settle, Taquan Jones, you got AJ Epinesa, you got Shaq Lawson, you got Jordan Phillips, you got Von Miller, you got Boogie Basham, you got Greg Rousseau. Then there's like 97 other people. Ed Oliver. Yeah, I didn't even name him. Ed Oliver. Like,
I do the same thing. I'll be like, oh yeah, Ed Oliver.
Yeah, but Dean and McDermott have shown that their game plan too. We're going to rotate the crap out of it. Every
100%.
Single one of them are not going to say they did not have a chance to play. Every one of those dudes is going to get serious reps on game day, and you just got to feast off of them. I mean, AJ Epinesa made my year last year with one of his plays when he absolutely dismantled Tua Tagovailoa in that game. That D line at the start of the game was just blowing them up left and right. It was a bloodfest. If we can get that from AJ Epinesa every week, I agree. He's a lock. He's great. He's everything we thought he would be. I think one of the things with AJ Epinesa, he came in during the COVID season, so his camp was cut short. So he's losing a little bit of development there. But at the end of the day, we're all professionals. We all get the same shot, and he's got to take the opportunity.
Yep. Yeah.
AJ Epinesa was playing like that in the preseason, and then he took that into the first couple of weeks of the regular season, and we were like, "Oh my God, he's arrived!" And then he just disappeared. So I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be one of those guys to watch. You know, those guys in training camp that you're going to say, "Okay, Epinesa, here's your shot, man. Either do it or don't do it. And if you don't do it, you're either going to get traded cut or find yourself sitting on a couch in a few weeks." So I'm excited to see there. So last thing, I asked my brother this last week on last week's show, and I want to hear your answers because I loved his answer. And I think it really it's exciting to hear what people have to say. So I want to hear, for people who have never experienced what it's like to be a Bills fan, give me your synopsis. What would you tell them?
Justus, you go first.
It's like, who's the guy from the Bible?
Jesus?
Like David or something?
Jesus is in the Bible.
No, not Jesus. So there was this guy who, I guess God and the devil made a bet or something. And he was like, that guy has unwavering faith in me. And then the devil was like, nah, I don't. If you give him, a bad enough day, he'll lose faith. Right. So then, God put this man through the worst, the horrible of things, like killed mad of his kids, took his family, took his riches, and like all this just horrible stuff. And he kept faith. Right. And then he was blessed in abundance later on. Now, I'm not a huge Bible guy, so I don't remember who it was, but I remember the story. And that's kind of like what it's like being a Bills fan, right? I was born in 95. So I'm 4 years old when the Music City Miracle happens, right? That's the first memory I have as a Bills fan. And then the next 17 years was garbage, right? And then, now we get the best quarterback on the planet. We got one of the best head coaches in the world. We got the best GM in the world. Like, it's actually crazy to see just how huge it's just like how spoiled we are almost now as Bills fans. So that's what I would say it's like being a Bills fan. It's keep the faith, and we were blessed, and so hopefully we get a Lombardi to boot, and a couple of them actually, one about seven or eight, so hopefully that comes
okay
through.
LeBron from the Heat, not 5, not 6, not 7, not
For sure.
8. Yeah,
For sure.
Man, that's tough. There's so much that goes into being a Bills fan, but Bills Mafia as a whole, it's a general misconception that we're all just a bunch of drunk idiots, right? During the 17-year drought, we got a lot of clout for kind of going crazy at tailgates. But me personally, I'm coming up on 5 years sober, so I'm not just a drunk Bills fan over
bro.
here.
That's awesome.
Thank you. I've never met another fan base that you can be walking down the street in Kansas and see a Bills hat and then have a 30-minute conversation with a stranger about where you grew up in the area and what teachers you had in school and how great Wegmans is. I've never seen another fan base that just decides to randomly pluck players from their team and donate $7.16 increments to have a new part of a hospital built after them in their honor. The Buffalo Bills are a byproduct of what Buffalo is, and that's a hardworking, blue-collared city of good neighbors. It's a brotherhood. It's love. Bills Mafia is love, and I know that that's cheesy and corny, but I consider every member of Bills Mafia part of my family. So it's an amazing thing. For a while, it was just a beautiful disaster, and now we kind of get to reap the benefits of struggling for so long. But the one thing that didn't waver during 17 years of baloney, during 4 years of straight Super Bowl losses, is the fandom. Buffalo Bills and Bills Mafia is as strong now as it was during the 17-year drought, as it was during the 4 Super Bowl losses, as it was during the 2 AFL championships. And that's always how Bills Mafia is going to be. Unwavering, relentless, just like they are on the football field.
Right. Glad I went first. There was no way I was following that.
Yeah, it's true. I'm 34, and by the way, I'm 5 days from 6 months sober. So I'm on that train with you.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that. It's being 34 and going through this. The one thing I always tell, so my wife and I, we've been together almost 3 years. married. We've been together almost 6 years in January. And so she came along in January of 2017. God bless her. She's had nothing but blue skies and rainbows when it comes to the Bills.
Good luck charm.
Yeah, they're very, very lucky to come.
Don't let her go.
As soon as they made the playoffs, you're like, marry me right now, please, just marry me.
Right. You know, and that's she hasn't necessarily seen the other side, so I'm trying to impart my wisdom of what it's been like. But the one thing I can tell her, but other people, is that no matter what's happened, no matter what we've gone through, you wear this logo with the utmost pride, you know. And I always kind of find it synonymous to my own last name. You know, when you say your last name, there's something of like a personal gratitude, that lineage, that there was somebody before you that you kind of look to and you're like, that was my family, you know. And same thing with Bills fans, you know. There's a level of gratitude that comes with what's happened before, but what you've been through together, you know. And that's the exciting part, is we're finally in that moment where there's a lot of Bills fans that have never seen success, but now they are, you know, and it's led by incredible people at the helm, you know, and it's great. You know, it's great to finally be on the flip side and be successful, but it's also great that we just, as a whole, as a community, as a family, as a fan base, that we do it together, you know. And it's not, I don't think it's an accident that you see this happen amongst Bills fans. You know, you see other fan bases and it seems very, very fake. You know, it's just kind of, they do it because they do it, and that's what it is, what it is. And they're a fan because they grew up there or whatever, you know, because they saw the Cowboys on TV or whatever the situation may be. But Bills fans, there is a legitimate intrinsic value to being a Bills fan. There is something that is bred within you. You know, you see a Bills fan. Me and my wife were in Thousand Islands this weekend, which is about 3.5 hours from Rochester. Saw Bills fans, gave them a go Bills. There was like a sheer happiness when you do it, because being a Bills fan is not only a birthright, but it's a privilege and an honor, because we've gone through it. We've been through the tough times. Now we're going through the good times. So it's an exciting time. So it's fun, you know. And reason I asked you guys this is because I'm going to ask every single person going forward, because I want to hear their answer. It's exciting to hear what people think about being a Bills fan and what they feel about being a Bills fan, because you know, it's not every day that you get to talk to Bills fans for a long period like I do, and to kind of to hear that really heartfelt response is fun. So, gentlemen, been here about an hour and 15 minutes. I truly appreciate both of you. Justus, Adam, plug yourselves. Where can people find you?
I am Justice General Radford. You guys can follow me at JA17MVP. I had to change the @ name back because the season's about to start. Got to give Josh all the luck he can get. All right,
that's right.
I am content manager over at Buffalo Fanbase, the original Bills Mafia. So go check us out. We got a whole bunch of podcasts and live shows and YouTube shows. We got a whole bunch of content coming, so make sure you guys tune in. And also we got some giveaways coming up. So nice. Shout out to the people that just won my man Thomas's giveaway, and we will have some as well. So yeah, man. Please subscribe, follow, and all that other good stuff. Oh, this was fun, by the way. Like, this was an awesome episode. So thank you for the invite, bro.
Of course.
For me, you can follow me here at Adam Zientek 3, Primetime Adam on Twitter. I'm currently doing a jersey giveaway once I hit 10,000 followers. I'm about 201 away. All you got to do is retweet to enter, follow my page. We'll be all good. Just follow me. I also help run the Twitter account for the Built in Buffalo page. And I do a podcast called the Built in Buffalo podcast. So check those out whenever you can. Justus, I love working with you. You're one of my favorite content creators to collab with. It's truly an honor. And Tom, this was one of my favorite live shows I've been a part of. So I truly appreciate you having us on. This was just a really awesome experience.
Yeah, absolutely. We're trying to get more and more people every single time. And it's great to have just conversations with Bills fans, because you know what? At the end of the day, we're all just people. We're all part of a great fan base, and to kind of pick each other's brains is a lot of fun. But, you know, like I said, this is Buffalo Late Night. I am the Thomas DeLoss. You can find me at the Thomas DeLoss. That was so disjointed. I apologize. I don't know what was going on there. I truly appreciate you guys coming on tonight. I am excited to hopefully have you guys in the near future. But again, this has been that was not the right button to click right there. My brother's normally in charge of stuff. I am doing a lot in a very short period of time. Guys, I really appreciate it. And once again, this is Buffalo Late Night. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
The Bills make me wanna shout. Kick your heels up and shout. Throw your hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah. Say you will. Shout it right now, baby. Say you will. Come on, come on. Say you will. Come on and shout. Say you will. Yeah. Shout. Buffalo's happening now. Shout. We're on the move now. Shout. The Bills are happening now. Shout. They're making it happen now. Shout. You got the spirit. Shout. A lot of spirit, yeah. Shout. You got the spirit. Shout. Just watch it happen now. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. Let's go Buffalo. The Bills make me wanna shout. Hey.